Hello friends, I welcome you all on 37th lecture of System Software. Uh, we are learning unit number 4. Finish unit number 4. As I told you that this unit typically 4th unit, 5th unit and 6th unit are theoretical units. Whatever we learn in first section, that is section A, that is first 1, 2, 3 units, those concepts are applied in this unit. So most of the time you have to prepare the definitions. So before beginning, please raise your hands so that I will understand you are able to see me as well as my video. Thank you, Srikant, Sonal, Sakshi, Dhanuka, Shruti, Tanuja, Shivani, Nayan, Disha, Homeshwari, Chinmay, Tanmay, Abhishek, Danshu, Gauri, Tejas, Anish Raj. So very few people have shown the, even Tejas Savak has shown the hand, but very few people are showing the hands. But please, let me tell you that no, here you are only, nowadays you are only attending 2 lectures only. So I suggest you to attend all the lectures, not only mine, and be responsive. See, it is not possible to do the conventional classroom like face-to-face classrooms in these sessions. Here somehow we have to cover syllabus, but still you should raise your hands, you should ask the questions, you should put some queries in your WhatsApp chat or this Teams chat, and you can clarify the things. See, what will happen? The teacher will do his part. He will continue it. He will not understand what is happening on the back end. So anyway, I'm thankful to you. You have raised hands. Very few people showed me the hands still. And today attendance is also very less. It's less than 30% around because I know that most of the people are just logged in automatically and their attendance is. See, I am taking 3 or 4 times your attendance. I know when you are joined and when you left. So I will take the average of that. So don't worry about the attendance, not for my subject, but all subjects. You worry about the learnings. You should learn. You do not waste. You should not waste time 1 hour or 2 hours in simply attending, catching nothing from those classrooms. So anyway, I will go ahead and we shall go with the agenda. So agenda is very simple. It's only 2 points are there, but before that we shall go to the syllabus. Syllabus is very simple. I have already shown you this slide. So here in this unit, we are learning about the syntax directed translation, definition of the attributes, types of attributes like inherited attributes, synthesized attributes, and HDD, syntax directed definition of that, standard definition, how to construct the parse tree, what is the definition of the AST, that is a annotated parse tree. Then theoretical concept of L attributed definition, S attributed definition. We have seen all that. And last part is there, that is a top-down translation using the means 2 examples are there. You can go do SDT by using a top-down translation, or you can do SDT by doing the bottom-up translation. But in the exam, they frequently ask you about the top-down translation. So that's why I'm taking that example. Tomorrow also I will take one more example on top-down translation. But I suggest you to refer these books. I have given you the screenshots. I have uploaded the PDF files on the FTP resources. So you download that, and the IP address is given there, 103.107.17.41. You should type FTP in your browser. Use Mozilla or Chrome browser. I suggest you use Mozilla, and you will get lot much material, study material on here. So hope you are still able to listen me. I'm going ahead. So let us see the agenda. So only 2 points are there. We are trying to understand what is the translation scheme. I have already talked about it, and we shall discuss about one example, top-down translation example by using the SDT. SDT means syntax directed translation. So friends, let us understand what is the translation scheme. Translation scheme, I have already told you that there is some table is there. On one side we write the production rules, and on another side we write the semantic rules. Now there might be one production rule and corresponding one semantic rule. So, but every time it is not possible. So it may happen that there you may have a one production rule on one side, and there might be 2 or 3 or multiple production rules, semantic rules on corresponding side. So we know that semantic rule contains something dot e dot val, t dot val, like we call them as attributes. So there can be different types of attributes. Means there might be some attributes which are synthesized attributes, and some attributes might be inherited attributes. So it depends on the structure of the grammar or typical example. Sometimes it may happen that you may have production rules on one side and you have semantic rules only with synthesized attributes, yes attributes. It may happen. Or sometimes production rules on one side and only inherited of attributes on another side. So we have taken few examples. I have shown you few SDTs in previous slides, previous lectures. You download them. So translation scheme depends on that how many or what are the different types of attributes which are in the right hand side of your SDD, syntax directed definition. So you have to you can refer the book page number 324. So some theoretical stuff is there, but I will just read it. Hope you are able to understand it, and you are able to listen me also clearly. One minute. So anyway, the definition, theoretical definition is something like this. We are trying to understand what is a translation schemes. So translation scheme is a context-free grammar in which attributes are associated with the grammar symbols and semantic actions are closed in brace brackets, curly brackets. And we are showing them on the right hand side. Book definition. You can go to the page number 324 on PDF provided, and it is uploaded on the FTP site. So there is another slide. It is describing the same thing, but just go through it. So syntax directed translation schemes are complementary notations to the SDD, syntax directed definitions. See, do not get confused with what is the SDT and SDD. I already told you SDT means how to translate. That is the thing. And SDD means how it is done, how we are using the semantic rules and in which order we are evaluating. So we have to decide the order. So as I have already told you that in previous sessions that we generally build the parse tree, and from that parse tree we can build the AST, that is annotated syntax tree, and then we traverse that tree, annotated tree, AST, and some method like pre-order method or post-order method to traverse that tree, or sometimes we may use breadth first traversal or depth first traversal. It depends on typical type of example. So these are the theoretical concepts. Every time uh, things may change with respect to example. You have to keep this thing in your mind. So friend, I will just read. So there is a blue box. I'm reading that any SDT can be implemented by first building the parse tree and then performing actions. Means we are traversing that tree from left to right. Normally we read from left to right. So that most of the time we read from left to right. And that is during a pre-order traversal. This is a pre-order traversal. Please note this thing. And the use of SDTs to implement two important classes of SDDs. So we have learned that LR attributed definition and S attributed definition. So first point is that the underlying grammar is LR parsable. LR means bottom up parsing. So we are using the bottom up parsing method. So we normally call it as a S attributed definition. And in top down method, so underlying grammar is normally LL parsable. LL means top down parsable. LR means bottom up parsable. So we call it as a L attributed definition. So this is theoretical. Please note this thing. So let us go to the next slide. So this is a, let us say, they ask the question in different ways. So do not get confused. For example, this is very simple grammar. We are already familiar with this grammar. And so here only two non-terminals are there, and 5 terminals are there. That is a plus sign, minus sign, opening bracket, closing bracket, and num. Num is a terminal symbol. So question is there, what is the translation scheme with right recursive grammar? So grammar is given. Now please note that this is a ambiguous grammar. If you draw the parse tree for a given statement, so you may draw the multiple parse trees, more than one parse tree for the same statement. So if we can derive a particular statement in two different ways, maybe in a RMD way or LMD way. LMD means leftmost derivation or rightmost derivation. So if we are able to derive a particular given statement in two ways, so that is again, we say that given grammar is a ambiguous grammar. And what is our unambiguous grammar? Whatever the statement is there, whatever the way you derive it, you always get a single parse tree, syntax tree. You don't get two different syntax trees. That could be the, I mean, so you can understand from that. We have already taken few examples in previous sessions also. So this grammar given in red is a ambiguous grammar, and you know that the right hand side starts with E. So E is calling itself. So we call them as a this such type of grammars as a recursive grammar. So sometimes we have to convert the given grammar into non-recursive way. Sometimes we have made to left factor the grammar. Right now we don't need that, but you can download the unit number 2 PPTs or even videos from the YouTube or FTP site, and you can learn how to do the left factoring as well as how to remove the left recursive production rules from the given grammar to make it normalized grammar. So here what he is asking that show that the annotated parse tree with values of the attributes. For example, e dot val at root for given statement like 9 minus 5 plus 2, like this. So in this, so the person may ask you some question like this. So it depends how he frames. But sometimes it may happen that there might be multiple questions, but same solution can be there. That's why I have prepared 2-3 slides. So let us take same example in different way. For example, here a blue box is there, last box, second box. Here the examiner is asking you to explain the top-down translation in brief, giving the suitable examples. So again, the solution will be same. Now see the violet box. So eliminate the left recursion from the given grammar and develop the syntax directed translation scheme for 9 minus 5 plus 2, and given grammar is given in red color. So in this way, there are we have seen three different ways. He is asking about the SDT for top-down translation. So do not get confused every time. So you have to just judge it, what you have to do, how you have to solve the given problem. So I have just deliberately, Mr. जानबूझकर मैंने आपको एग्जांपल दिया है. You see previous slide, then this slide. So sometimes we may get confused, but do not get confused with it. Now let us go ahead. Now let us think about how to do it. So first thing is that we should normalize this given grammar. We should remove the left recursive production rules from this grammar. We have already seen that there are 5 production rules in this grammar. So we have to remove the left recursion. So you have to recall whatever you learn in unit number 2. So anyway, if such example is given and statement is string of tokens is also given, then you can directly write the SDT, that is a syntax directed definition for the given grammar. See, what you have to do, on one side you have to write all the production rules, and on another side you have to write the semantic rules. Now see here, we are using E is giving you E1 plus T. This is one production rule, first production rule, and we are writing corresponding semantic rule. E dot val is equal to E1 dot val plus T1 dot val. In same way, if you see the second production rule, that is E is giving you E1 minus T. So again, see here there is a minor mistake. There should be minus sign. I agree this. Please note this slide number 11. So on row number 2, there should be minus sign in semantic rule block. So anyway, so from production rules, we can easily generate the semantic rules. It is very easy. Now see the last row. There is a T giving you num. Num is a number. Now T dot val is equal to num dot val. Num dot val is something written by the lexical analyzer. So you can call it as an attribute, or you can call it as a something which is written by output of the lexical analyzer. So in this way you can generate the semantic rules. We have already seen similar examples previously. So we can call this as a translation scheme of the for the left recursive grammar. So actually I have not given you the left recursive grammar. We have not converted this grammar into left recursive form. We shall see in next slide. But this is generalized, that we are mapping the production rules as it is with semantic rules, corresponding semantic rules. Now here we are not specifying whatever the attributes. For example, T dot val is there, E1 dot val is there. So whether this attribute is a synthesized attribute or inherited attribute, I have not specified it here, but that's why it is a generalized translation scheme, or SDT, for the human grammar. Now to remove the left recursion, we have to do few things on the given grammar. We have to process the given grammar. Now, before removing the left recursion, you just take the screenshot of this. We know that if there is a production rule, like something like A is giving you A alpha or beta. So alpha and beta can be string of tokens or string of non-terminals or string of terminals or terminals. So if you have a rule like this, production rule like this, what we do? We remove the left recursion. Why left recursion? Because A is calling itself. See the light. I don't know whether you are able to see the mouse position on your phone or maybe on your desktop, but A is calling A itself, A alpha, and that is on the left side. That's why we call this as a left recursive production rule. And left recursive production rules are not advisable in top-down parsing method. We have learned all that thing. Why? Please recall that theoretical discussion. Sometimes the parser may go in infinite loop. That's why we remove left recursive production rules. Every time it is not possible, but we can do it. So what we have done here in these boxes, we have added new non-terminal A dash. It is not necessary you should use only A dash. You can use B, C, D, X, Y, Z or T or E, anything. But you should distinguish it. So I have distinguished it by red color, A dash. So we are transforming this. See, this yellow strip is representing only two productions, A alpha and beta. These are the two production rules. When we transform it, we get three production rules. So it is something like A giving you beta A dash, and A dash is equal to A dash is giving you alpha A dash or epsilon. So this is a generalized production rule. So you have to use the pattern matching. So here in a blue box, there are two production rules which starts with capital E. So you have to identify alpha. There might be multiple alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3, and there might be multiple betas, beta 1, beta 2, beta 3. So for example, your alpha 1 might be plus T, alpha 2 might be minus T, and beta 1 might be capital T, like this. And then you have to arrange it. That is called as a pattern matching. See, you must understand this thing and do not stuck up. You use your logic and try to interpret it, that you have to use this rule. You have to use the logic of the pattern matching, and mechanically you have to convert the given grammar or production rule into normalized form. So let us see this. So this is the given production rule. A giving you A alpha, that is a left recursive. A grammar is said to be left recursive if it has a non-terminal A, such that there is a derivation or production rule like this, given in yellow color. So alpha and beta can be string of terminals or string of non-terminals or string of terminals as well as non-terminals both. And alpha and beta is given like it is a combination of, see here mathematically even clean star is given in box. You should be you should use such mathematical standard notations in your theory also or exam also, because it will create impression in a evaluator that you know the things, how to write the things. So V plus T means V or T. V means non-terminal, T means terminals. That is a regular expression. So anyway, let us go ahead. Anyway, before going ahead, just I want to recall that I have just circulated the practical list on your WhatsApp. This is a PDF file. You can visit the FTP site. You can go to this URL, FTP IP address /b_cse/3r_ccc/lecture_ppt_notes and/. So this is a folder, this is a path. So you will get this PDF. Now in this PDF, I have already given you the list of experiments. There are 12 experiments are there. Then I have marked 2 experiments by red color. That is experiment number 2 and experiment number, what is that, 7, 2 and 7. So these experiments are compulsory. These are theoretical. So I have kept all the, actually this is a study experiment. You have to write 3 or 4 pages and you have to describe what is a LEX, what is the input of LEX, what is the output of LEX, how to compile a LEX program, what is the extension of LEX file. Normally it is a .el. In same way, extension of the YAC file is a .y, just like a .pass, .java or .c in all the languages, programming languages. LEX and YAC both are the programming languages. So these 2 experiments, experiment number 2 and 7 are compulsory. That is, I have colored them in red. So you have to write sufficient detailed documentation for that study experiment. And then rest of the examples are very simple. So just there is some file like abc.txt. It may contain some lines. From that, you have to write some C program such that it will read that file abc.txt and it will compute all the capital letters, all the words, all the symbols, means plus, minus, or whatever, vowels or whatever. So first experiment is that. Then there is experiment number 9. So there is expression like 3 into 5 plus 2 into 4 minus 5. So that is a mathematical expression. So 3 into 5 means 15. 2 into 4 means 8. So you have to calculate that. So you have to write a program in C and you have to use stack. So the boxes are given there. So you have to push first 3, then 5, then you have to multiply. Then again, you have to push 2, then 4, then again you have to do the addition like that. And lastly, you have to do subtraction. So you will get some answer. So your answer should be correct. So by using stack data structure, you have to compute that expression. 3 into 5 plus 2 into 4 minus 5, like. So the diagram is already given to you. And a similar program is also available on FTP site. So out of these all 12, you have to submit 7 experiments in the time. So dates will be displayed soon. We have not received any notice from the Dean Academic Office, but around class test 2, you have to submit the practicals also, just like a TEC also. I have already circulated TECs among you, and I have already circulated TEC topics. I already given you the idea that how to do it. Means demo is there, many projects are there, many programming assignments are there, then case studies are there, even presentations are there, and I have already floated one form on MS Office. I found that there are very few students who have filled that form. That is not good from your on your side. It is your fault. Please note this thing. Whenever your teacher asks you something, you should do it in a time. So those people who have not filled that form, you submit, means fill it. So some questions are there in yes or no. You have to answer them. Very few have filled that form. Two forms I have floated on the uh, MS Office Teams. So those who have not filled that form, they should fill it. So from this slide, I just want to tell you that you download it um, and you make the folder on your desktop or on your phone, and you can keep all your experiments, TCs, assignments there, and then you can submit it on a due date. So anyway, I will go ahead. Now, whatever we are discussing today is regarding the removal of the left recursion or left factoring. So what I suggest is that you should visit or download the Unit 2 Part 3 PPT or PDF file on your desktop, and there I have already discussed two examples. We are removing the left recursive production rules from those examples, and we are doing the left factoring of the given grammar. So please revise the things because it will help you to understand the things in more better way. It will clear your views in a better way. And whatever the topic we are learning, it will give you crystal clear idea that what is happening, what we are discussing, why we are discussing. If we don't know the importance of things, then it is of no use. Simply mugging up the question and answer from step by step and other notes and writing in the answer book is not a good way. If you understand the things, if you use your own sentences, if you compose your answer by using your own compose constructs, then examiner will understand that you have done something. So leave the habit of mugging up. Always learn the things, think in your own way, and then interpret them and write in your own way. Everybody's answer will be different. If there are 80 people will have different answer for same question. No matter whether it is a theory question or it is a some example or a problem. So I would like to tell that if you feel something that you are not able to understand it, you can go to the YouTube and you can download relevant MP4 or MP3 file and you can just play it. You can forward it, play and forward it, and you can listen the important part, whatever you are feeling that you are not able to understand. If you do it one or two times, you will understand it. And you will find that many times I have repeated 3 or 4 times, same thing. So anyway, so again, this is a snapshot of your MS Office, sorry, FTP site. So there are various folders like SS Lab programs or 3RSS or video lectures is there. So you go there, serve that directories, use the FTP link. You can even use the WinSCP tool is there. You can download it. You can download Putty also to serve that FTP site. So anyway, just switch back to our example. So this is the grammar. I'm writing it in a ash color box to understand what I want to say. So let us call what is alpha 1 and alpha 2, what is beta 1 and beta 2. Every time it is not possible, but sometimes you have to assume. For example, there might be beta 2, but it could be empty or epsilon. You have to assume it. You have on one side, you should have the original rule. So I have already given here that E is giving you A alpha 1 or A alpha 2 and A alpha m or beta 1, beta 2 and beta n means m number of alphas are there and n number of betas are there. So that can be a pattern of your production rule. So you can convert it. So if and then is there, you can convert it into this suitable form. So all production rules will start with A giving you beta 1 A dash, beta 2 A dash, beta 3 A dash, and beta n or m A dash. It depends on how many alphas are there. And then A dash will give you alpha 1 A dash, alpha 2 A dash, like this. So it depends. And lastly, there will be epsilon production rule. So in this way, from one production rule, you are getting two production rules, but it is equivalent to the original production rule. So this conversion is equivalent to the original production rule. So here I have painted in red color in black box that plus t is there and minus t is there. So you can call them as alpha 1 and alpha 2, and t is there. You can call it as a beta 1 or simply beta. So that depends. Now why alpha 1 and alpha 2? Why not alpha 3? See what is happening in first two production rules. They start with E, capital E. That's why we require this rule. That's why it is a left recursive rule. So we need only two alphas, alpha 1 and alpha 2. We don't need alpha 3 because the third production rule doesn't start with capital E. So that is there. You have to understand it. And then you have to rearrange this production rule. So slide number 18 will explain that thing like this. So hope friends you are going to understand what I am telling you. So you are doing pattern matching, like alpha 1 is a plus t and alpha 2 is a minus t. And then beta 1 is a capital T only. And there is no need of beta 2 because there is nothing. So you can rearrange it. Now let us assume that R is a new non-terminal. We are going to insert it. So just like it, we are writing or we are rewriting E production rules like this. E is giving you TR. So R can be new non-terminal. It is not terminal. It is a non-terminal. I have missed the spelling. So new NOT. It should be non-NOM. So R will be giving you plus TR slash minus TR slash epsilon as per the rule. And the last production rule, that is a T giving you in bracket capital E and num will be as it is because it is not non-recursive or left recursive production rule. It is simple production rule. Both productions starts with terminal symbol, that is a opening bracket or num symbol. So blue box is there, second blue box, it is giving you converted grammar. So here how many production rules are there? So in first we have 5 production rules. In a converted form we have 6 production rules like this in blue box. So I hope you recalled that thing regarding conversion of the grammar into normalized form. We have done here removal of the left recursive production rules, productions. Now you see all the production rules on the right hand side starts with different symbols. See, first production rule starts with capital T. Second production rule starts with plus. Third production rule starts with minus. Fourth production rule starts with epsilon. Fifth production rule starts with opening bracket. And last production rule, that is the sixth production rule, starts with num. It means that all production rules are starting with different symbols. All production rules are starting with different symbol. That is what expected in non-recursive grammar, normalized grammar. So I hope you are understanding me what I want to say. So I will go ahead. Now there is a little theory. Just read this slide or you can take the screenshot. I hope you take the screenshot of this slide number 18. You send the screenshot to my personal WhatsApp. Slide number 18. Now let us go to the line 19. Now we want to build the annotated parse tree. Means first we have to build the parse tree only, and then we have to decorate it. So annotated parse tree means AST, that is the annotated syntax tree. Now the new transform translation scheme with right recursive grammar can be given as below. Now the remove the left recursive from the recursion from the given production rules, rewrite the translation scheme for the right recursive grammar as below. So next slide is there, slide number 20. So ash color box is showing that thing. Now see this. See, this is a slide number 20. If you go back on slide number 11, so this is again as SDD. This is a translation scheme. This is called as a syntax directed definition for the given grammar. Now here what is happening? We have broadly designed the SDD for this given grammar. This is not transform grammar. This is as it is grammar, as it is. So we have these 5 production rules and 5 semantic rules are there. But if we transform that, and almost all the attributes in this scheme is a synthesized attributes. We don't know here we are not using any inherited attribute. Now let us jump to the note this is a slide number 11. We have to go to the 20th slide. Now see here. Here these are the production rules. Corresponding semantic rules are given there. Now I have rewritten the production rules. For example, first production rule is a TR. E is giving you TR. So I am rewriting it. E giving you T, and then on next line R is there. So we need 2 production rules to represent one. Sorry, we need 2 semantic rules to represent 1 production rule. So observe this and take the screenshot of this slide. Compare with the screenshot with 11th slide. So this is the expected SDD translation scheme for given transform grammar. Now here in semantic rules, let us go for the first row. So production rule is E is giving you TR, capital TR. So semantic rule is that R dot I giving you T dot val. So R dot I means inherited attribute. Please note this thing. And on RHS, there is a T dot val, that is a synthesized attribute. Now E dot val is equal to, this is second semantic rule. See, these are the 2 semantic rules, and there is a corresponding only 1 production rule. So E dot val is a synthesized attribute. R dot S is a synthesized attribute. See, S is for synthesized attribute. Small I is for inherited attribute. So this is the way. So there is no question of confusion. It is a way followed by the book. Now see the second rule. So second rule is see, that is given in a red color, plus TR. R is giving you plus TR. So what I have done, I have written plus on one level, T capital T on second level, and R1 on third level. So R1 is to distinguish from left hand side R. So you can use dash or you can use double dash, triple dash, or R1, R2, R3 like this. So production rule is given there and corresponding semantic rules are given there. Now here the so first semantic rule is mapping with the capital T. Capital T is mapped with the semantic rule. So R1 dot T is equal to R1, sorry, R dot I minus T dot val. This is there. And R1 is a non-terminal that is mapped with semantic rule. R1 dot S, S is a synthesis attribute, is equal to R1 dot S. Sorry, it is R dot S equal to R1 dot S. Now go through to the fourth row. Fourth row, R is giving you epsilon. That is the fourth production rule. So it is mapped like this. R dot S, that is a synthesis attribute, equal to R dot I, that is an inherited attribute. Now fifth production rule is there. T is giving you opening bracket, capital E, and closing bracket. So I have written on 3 levels to write, means to avoid the confusion. So for capital E, we are writing corresponding semantic rule. T dot val is equal to E dot val. So that is the corresponding semantic rule. Then last is there. T is giving you num. Now here we are writing semantic rule. T dot val is equal to num dot val. So this is a transform translation scheme with right recursive grammar. See, we have removed the left recursion. So your grammar become the right recursive grammar. How right recursive? You think about it. See, second number production rule. R is calling itself and R is on the right hand side at the end. See the red color production rules. R is calling itself, but it is on the right hand side. It is not on the left hand side. That's why we call it as a right recursive grammar. This is not a left recursive grammar that we have seen in previous slides. So I hope you understand it is very easy. Once you have a production rule, you can directly generate the semantic rule, corresponding semantic rule. There might be one production rule, there might be only one semantic rule, but sometimes there might be multiple semantic rules. And semantic rules may contain synthesis attribute, or it may contain inherited attributes, or combination of both. It depends on the typical example. So here R dot S is a synthesis attribute, R dot I is a inherited attribute. So in this way, we are trying to understand how to build the transform translation scheme for the given normalized grammar. So this is what is expected by the examiner. You have to write this. So this notation is simple. I suggest you should write in this way only. You should write in this way only. Do not write production rules in one line. You divide that production rule in 3 layers like this: minus, then capital T, then R1. So it will avoid the confusion in you. So you can exactly write corresponding semantic rule in front of that production rule. So anyway, I'm going to end this here. So let us go ahead. Now, how to build the parse tree? So grammar is given to you, and statement is also given to you. And here I am showing you one sample parse tree. 9 minus 5 is equal to 4. 4 plus 2 is equal to 6. So this could be the parse tree, one suggested parse tree. It doesn't mean that it's correct or wrong. See, there is no concept of correct or wrong. The way you apply the production rules, the way how you do the derivation, whether you are doing top-down derivation or bottom-up derivation, whether you are doing rightmost derivation or leftmost derivation. See here, uh, in a ash color, there is underline, capital R is underline, capital R, capital T is underline. It means that we are substituting the production rule there, and rule numbers are given there. E is giving you TR rule number 1, T minus TR rule number 3, like this. So we are substituting corresponding production rule while deriving the given statement 9 minus 5 plus 2. So, so whatever the sequence generated is nothing but it is a parse tree, or you can call it as a syntax tree. So your syntax tree should match your derivation sequence. So I will give you the example in next slide. So I hope you got how to derive the given statement. So this is the one way. You can do it in different ways also. It depends on how you do it, whether you are using LMD or whether you are using RMD, rightmost derivations. So at the end of this box, you will see 9 minus 5 plus 2 in red color, and question mark is also there. So we have successfully derived the statement. It means that the statement has no syntax error. It is not syntax. It is syntax error free. Now let us see in different way to the same thing. Now here is a derivation given on the left hand side, and here is a annotated syntax tree, AST. Now see here, E is generating TR, R is generating T minus TR. Then again R is generating plus TR, like this. And lastly, the token values are given there. Num dot value is equal to 9. See, in a blue color, num dot value is equal to 5, num dot value is equal to 2. You can take the screenshot of this for understanding. So friends, we are near to end, but do not close. I will show you one more slide. And from that slide, you will understand how to compute it. So we know that in previous discussion that if there is an inherited attribute, then we have to compute the values of the sublinks, values of the parent, as well as the node itself. So that is how we compute the inherited value. And if it is a synthesized attribute, we have to compute the values of the children. Means we compute the values of the synthesized attribute from children's values. But in this case, there are synthesized attributes as well as inherited attributes. So we have to use those rules in our mind while computing. So see here, nodes are there. So t dot val is 9, r dot I is a 9. R dot I means it is an inherited attribute. Now there is a one level, that is r dot I is equal to 4. You read it. Then at the end, r dot I is equal to 6 is also there. So try to understand how it is computed. So for that, you have to understand how to do the traversing of this tree. So as I told you that there are different ways. You can do pre-order traversal, you can do post-order traversal, or you can do best first breadth first traversal or depth first traversal. It depends. Or you can do topological sorting traversal on this tree. So there are different ways, and you must understand what is difference in that. So anyway, why we are showing this in dotted? Because we want to know that how the values of these attributes like t dot val or r dot I is computed. So this is slide number 22. Let us go to the slide number 23. So here on one side there is a complete tree, AST. AST means APT, annotated parse tree. Now see how you are doing it. So try to understand what is the concept of the sibling, parent, parent node, children, like that. So here the dotted part is showing you the parse tree, and the black arrows are there. They are showing you how you are traversing that tree. So for example, you start with num.val 9, you go up, then you go to the r.i is equal to 9, then you come down, r.i is equal to 4, then you go from num.val 5 to 2t.val is equal to 5, like that. So you are traversing, so arrows are there. So in this way, at the end, you are computing r.i is equal to 6. So you take the screenshot of this. So the arrows in the figure suggest a way of determining the values of the expression. So arrows are telling you how you are traversing that tree, right? From where you are beginning from the leaf node, and then you are visiting the node, then his parent, then you are again coming back, depending on the type of attribute, whether it is a synthesized attribute or whether it is a इनहेरिटेड एट्रीब्यूट. सिंथेसाइज एट्रीब्यूट का वैल्यू हम चिल्ड्रन से निकालते हैं, देखिए एक ध्यान में रखिए. और इनहेरिटेड एट्रीब्यूट का वैल्यूज हम उसके पेरेंट से भी निकालते हैं और उसके सबलिंग से भी निकालते हैं. दोनों को भी कंसिडर करते हैं, ऊपर का लेवल और नीचे का लेवल, उनको कंसिडर करते हैं, और देन वी कंप्यूट वैल्यू ऑफ that particular node if it is a inherited attribute. If it is synthesized attribute, only we consider the children only. So that is what you have to remember. So the individual numbers are generated by the t and t dot val takes its values from the lexical value of the number given by the attribute num dot val. So this is theoretical, but you have to interpret it. You have to understand it in this way. So answer to this question, 9 minus 5 is equal to 4, 4 plus 2 is equal to 6. That is the answer. So this is called as the evaluation. So this is how we do the evaluation of the expression. Even we can do the evaluation of any control statement like for, if then else, case, or jump, do while, repeat until. There might be many programming language constructs. So it depends that how you traverse that parse tree or syntax tree. And again, it depends on method also, whether you are doing top-down translation or parsing, or you are doing bottom-up parsing. So friends, I am ending here. I hope you have taken the screenshot. I hope you will send the screenshot to me so that I will understand everything is going okay on your side. So I am here to finish. We have almost consumed 60 minutes. So I will just show you one more slide. So this is a homework. You visit that book. So there are two examples, example 1 and 2. You have to draw the syntax tree in same fashion by using the given SDD. This is so in SDD there are 7 production rules are there and 7 semantic rules are given there. So you have to solve it and you have to send that your answer to me on my WhatsApp. N means next line or enter symbol. So this is one homework. Then I will end it. So this is what we learn. What is a SDT, syntax directed translation? The conceptual view is that we first have an input string, then we generate the using the derivations, whether RD or LMD, top down or bottom up. Then from that we generate the dependency graph. And then we traverse that dependency graph by using some method, maybe pre-order, post-order, or breadth first search, or depth first search order. And then we evaluate the order of semantic rules. See, whatever we have seen how to evaluate the semantic rules, the order of evaluation of the semantic rules. तो semantic rule हम evaluate करेंगे, ये हमारा traversing sequence बताएंगे हमको. So attributes are associated with semantic rules, and semantic rules are associated with production rules. So I don't know, this slide is a little distorted, but you go and download same slide from previous sessions and you will understand what I want to say. So friends, we have finished today's discussion. I hope you understood what I want to say, how we are evaluating the semantic rules. We know what is production rule, we know what is semantic rule. There might be multiple semantic rules for one single production rule. So the order in which we traverse. So for example, r dot I is equal to 6 at the end. So we are considering the values of the parent as well as children to compute the value of r dot I, that is 6. Somewhere there is a value r dot I is equal to 4. So how that is computed? Because parent has value 9, children has value 5, and there is a minus symbol sign. So we are computing r dot I is equal to 4 by considering parent as well as siblings or children, like that. So anyway, if you face still difficulties, you send me your query on my WhatsApp. I will answer it. So maybe in next session, I will take one more example. And if you send some queries, I will try to address it. And later, after that, we shall start with unit number 5. So please note that now Diwali vacations are on from today, and most of the staff members are on Diwali vacations. But in this vacation, you have to complete your part, that is TCs as well as practicals and all that, and you have to visit the resources, FTP resources. You will get, there are almost ready-made programs are there. You have to just download them on your side. You have to just do some minor modifications and then you have to submit it. And you have to submit in traditional way. Means what you have to do? You have to write aim, name of the experiment, then theory part, then some code, and then conclusion and whatever. And then you have to take photo or PDF of that, and then you have to submit it in that way. So there might be 7 experiments out of 12. So that is optional. But still, if you face anything, you just ask me. So friends, I am ending here.